Bippity beep bop bow. Ian's back again. Get ready to get pissed on this one. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, you read correctly in the title. Today I'm going to talk about whether or not being a realtor sucks. So to give a little bit of background on me, first of all, I hate the term realtor, mainly because everybody mispronounces it. It's not realtor, it's realtor. And the difference between a realtor, not a realtor, and a real estate agent is NAR, the National Association of Realtors membership. As far as I can tell, NAR is a useless organization rather, that basically, like, if I'm not a member of NAR, it's a lot more difficult for me to use MLSs, which, again, thanks to NAR, the utility of which is kind of waning because they sold everybody out to fucking Zillow. That's another story, but so yeah, I'm a realtor. It's easier to say than real estate agent, and I guess I'll keep saying that till NAR kicks me out for all the shit I put on YouTube, but fuck them, I'll get by. So I started being an agent in early 2018, okay? To say the least, it turned out to be a lot different than I thought it would be. So I really wish going back that, because when I was 18, I had kind of this inkling, just as I entered adulthood, I was like, well, I kind of really want to be a real estate agent. I like working deals and stuff. I've always had this weird attraction to residential homes. I don't know what the fuck it is. I love houses. And, people are usually pretty cool. So I think my number one mistake looking back on it, maybe close to the number one, top 5 mistakes easy, was instead of going into real estate when I was 18, was deciding to go to college. That was the stupidest fucking thing I could have ever done. Because I graduated, in 2010 from high school, right? So that was basically during the peak of the 2008 financial crisis. Great time to graduate from high school, fuck it. But what I didn't know at the time was that I could have got a job in town in Port Huron, Michigan, one of the shittiest towns in the United States. Making $8 an hour full-time at a factory. And a lot of the real estate out here, like there are multifamilies, 3-4 unit multifamilies that now are going for 150, 140, 160. I know that's not much for you West Coast folks, but I could have bought these places for 30, 40, 50 grand. Lived in one unit and boom, I know I've paid, anyway, I should probably get back to talking about whether or not being a realtor sucks. So like I say, I started in 2018. And in that amount of time, I've knocked on somewhere between 11,000 and 13,000, I think probably about 12,000 doors. And I've dialed about 120,000 people. And holy shit, could I ever go on for hours about the stuff I've learned from doing that. But my first year, that being 2018, I did 2 sales for a total of $210,000. You're probably asking, how the fuck did I eat food? Well, I'm good at saving money. So my second year, that being 2019, I sold $1.3 million. So again, it's not like I'm necessarily hitting the big time, but when you compare 210,000 to 1.3 million, I mean, that's like a 600 some odd % increase in volume. And then I did 6 deals instead of 2. So that's a 300% increase in closed units. If I maintain that trajectory through 2020, which looks like a solid probability, then I would sell approximately $6 million this year, which again, doesn't even put me in the big time as far as agents go. But if I average 3% across that $6 million, I mean, that's like I think just under 180, yeah, it's $180,000 exactly if I did exactly 6 million. So after taxes allotted, I'd be able to, again, I still wouldn't be solidly, I guess even arguably upper middle class, but I'd be able to pay off my bills and, kind of enjoy life. But I would say that it is a business that is definitely not for the faint of heart. So I've had a bit of a rough life, I guess you could say. So it's not really, I hear a lot of agents, they talk about how, I made this call or I knocked on this door and the person just went apeshit on me. Well, it's like, first of all, that's a very, very, very uncommon thing to happen. And second of all, it's like, who cares, dude? Why would you, like, what if you're a person out in the street, as has happened to me many times, where somebody just decides they have a fucking problem with you? Okay, well, what's it gonna ruin your damn day now? So I think, like, if you have the Constitution or are capable of developing the Constitution, it's definitely something that you can handle. Aside from that, once you actually get a deal, so to speak, now when I say deal, I don't mean it in the investment side of real estate context where there's, you got a great price on something or what have you. A deal is just anytime you represent a buyer or seller. I'm not gonna say tenant because that's, in my market at least, I've never done that. But so anytime you represent a buyer or a seller, that's a deal. Now, once you actually do get deals, working with people can be, it's a goddamn art form. I swear to God, like before I became an agent, I listened to a lot of Bigger Pockets podcasts and I fucking hated realtors from all the horror stories I heard from shitty agents. Now, of course, having worked with a number of realtors over the last 2 years, I hate them even more. In fact, I don't think there's any one single group of people I have greater disdain for than real estate agents as a whole. More on that later. But once you do actually get a deal, sorry, I'm scratching my leg. No, I'm not going to edit that out. it's, you know, working with the people, it can be challenging to say the least. And it really kind of opened my eyes as to where, like you always think of a salesman, he's some glib piece of shit that's great at lying, right? Well, here's where that comes in. If you're a decent human being like myself, you want to work on those skills and learn them so you can basically help somebody get out of their own way. There's a lot of misconceptions and stuff that people have very deeply rooted in their minds that don't just only get in the way when it comes to selling or buying a house. And if you're not able to push those correct unconscious buttons that the piece of shit does, then you, the decent person, is going to fall flat on your face because you can't lead the person to what they need to do in order to get what they want, you know? So then once you do actually close on a deal, you get the money. Well, you better hope you're good at money management because you might not get another check for months. I know I sold my first 2 houses. They both closed in December of 2018. And then I didn't close shit literally until the following August, dude. I was sitting there like, whew, this is getting a little rough. I see why people quit. Everybody's really mean to me. Nobody wants to talk to me. All the people that lie and don't do anything just get deals. Like I heard one guy, this guy, got to double end a deal because he made up some bullshit story about how he couldn't feed his daughter anymore. I wouldn't think in a million years of doing or saying anything that fucking pathetic or arguably manipulative, who knows if it was even true. Now, $15,000 later, he's got the deal. I'm standing there with my dick in my hand like, well, oh well. So I would have to say that at least if you do it my way, which is fairly uncommon, I don't know of any other agents in my area. I think there's one across the state. His name's Ben. He's a wrecking machine. But, you know, it has taught me a lot about people in general. You know, I'm always kind of into politics, as I'm sure is blatantly fucking obvious by now. So I always kind of thought, well, everybody out there's a moron. And, well, you go and talk to a bunch of people. Ooh, yeah, they're pretty fucking stupid. But not in the way that you would think. Like sometimes, you know, in my darker moments, I wonder, how is it that if the economy is comprised entirely on average of individuals like this, does the country even function? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that question. So I would say another really cool thing about it is I don't have to go punch a clock. You know, I got buddies, not to shit on them by any means, but they'll go drive an hour one way to fucking work. It's like, pff, bro. So you got to drive an hour there. You got to be there for 8 to 10 hours. You got to work with people that are fucking stupid. You got to be supervised, controlled by, ordered by somebody who probably is less competent and less intelligent than you are, but because they happen to be an accomplished brown noser, is in that position where they make even more money than you despite doing less. Oh, and by the way, your income is going to grow like this, and that's if you're lucky, right? It's going to be linear growth. You might start at 65, maybe a few years later you go to 72, but it's been a few years, so that doesn't really keep up with inflation, so you're kind of where you were at. You know, in sales, it's fucking the rash, guys, I'm fucking sorry. It was a pain in the ass and I don't want to take any more Benadryl. But, you know, on the flip side, in sales, like, yeah, sure, there's no minimum guarantee, which is why you've got to be really good at money management. I'll probably make some videos about that later. But it's at the same time, like, you get, oh, this is probably fucking up the audio. All right, sorry about that. But you can't, like, I lost my damn train of thought. Yeah, so anyway, you're not guaranteed to get anything in sales, which is cool because at the same time, it means there's no ceiling to your income. You know, look at me, I came up 600% year over year. And with the way write-offs work, practically I had as much money in my pocket and was able to afford what somebody who grossed like $35,000 was. And get this, because I spent half the year with a rip-off Keller Williams brokerage that kicked me out on some stupid shit, I had even less. Like if I would have been with my current broker, who's awesome, on a 90-10 split with a $5,000 cap instead of a 50-50 split and an $18,000 cap, I would have an extra $8,000-9,000 in my pocket, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I live in the Midwest, so that goes pretty far, in Michigan specifically, in Port Huron, which is, might have mentioned that earlier. But so yeah, I guess overall, does being a realtor suck? I would say it probably depends on what you like to do. For me, not really. I mean, it can be a bit of an emotional roller coaster, you know, especially when you go 10 months without getting a fucking paycheck. I doubt that'll happen to me again. I'm getting one next month, which would be the earliest closing in the year I've ever had. So, I mean, shit, guys, if I could sell $2 million this year, I'd be happy. I'd prefer 4, but 2, I'll take it and run down to Texas with it because I can't do this shit in the mitten anymore. But it's pretty good. I think if you're willing to stick with it, it's going to do things to you, like the amount of personal growth that is extremely hard to describe, especially if you didn't talk to me like a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. That is not going to be obvious, but the amount of like this shit will fucking forge you, dude. Like, that's why I think I wanted to get into it when I was 18, because I came from such a fucked up situation. I was basically autistic. So what I didn't realize at the time was that had I went into real estate sales then a lot of the issues I had at the time, which I've kind of mostly ironed out, would have been taken care of a lot earlier, which would have led to a lot less suffering for me and potentially a lot less suffering for others, because I would have been able to, you know, help them out because I wouldn't have been so fucking broke. But, you know, trajectory's looking good. I would say being a realtor definitely sucks if you're a little bitch. I know that's most people, so you might want to toodaloo off this channel and, you know, go work at McDonald's or something. Not to shit on anybody that works at McDonald's. I worked at Taco Bell for 3 years, but see, I moved up. You know, some people work there for years. It's not really designed for that. So I guess if you're offended, piss off. But anyway, yeah. So does it suck? No. Is it? Yeah, it doesn't suck. I'll have to make more videos about it so you guys can kind of catch my drift a little bit better. But cool, yeah, beans, whatever. Thanks for listening. Toodaloo. Have a nice day. Bye.